Rudy Giuliani with America's Mayor live from New York. And a lot of news emanates from New York tonight because of a meeting that took place, a meeting of movements that resulted in, well, we'll talk about what resulted in. What happened is the Biden administration, illegal, irresponsible, unpatriotic, and Marxist immigration policies met the Hochul, Adams, Cuomo, Bragg, we love criminals and we're going to set them free policies of New York, which has led to resurgence of crime in New York. And it has put the current mayor in the extraordinarily embarrassing position, even though he brought murder and shootings down this year. The net result of his 3 years in office is that we have more crime under him than under de Blasio. And we've got a police department that's completely demoralized, in large measure because he promises things, but since he possesses no political courage of any kind, never gets it done. And he's accompanied by a governor who, well, you're going to make your own judgment about the governor when we discuss her in a moment. The two things came together, and we have Governor Abbott to thank for the two things coming together. And we have Governor Abbott to thank for the fact that many Americans are now aware of the horrible policies of this administration toward our border. We don't even call it a border anymore because it's non-existent. And a country can't exist without a border, and hence the reason they don't want our country to exist. That's the whole purpose of this. It's to remove American nationalism so we become one. We become one world. We become one world, and George Soros can have an appropriate throne, and Gates can have a throne, and of course the prince, who might be elevated at that point to a king, will be Prince Obama, or possibly, if she runs, Princess Obama. Now, a horrible thing happened on Saturday in New York. 8 illegal immigrants, Biden illegal immigrants. We call them Biden illegal immigrants because they came in under the policy that he initiated when he took over from Trump, virtually on day one, of letting all immigrants come in, legal, illegal, and also stopping vetting. So one guy could be a doctor and the other guy could be a mass murderer, and we wouldn't know the difference. And we have gotten both. This group were not a group of doctors. They were a group of 8 people who were out for no good on Saturday night, and they beat the living daylights out of 2 police officers, 8 against 2. You say, well, how is that possible? Because the police officers in New York, thanks to the left wing, I can't call them progressive because they're Neanderthals. They're just the opposite of progressive. They go back to policies that existed 30 years ago, policies that I changed and created the biggest reforms in the city ever. And then some of the policies go back even way before that. So these 8 people who should not be here in this country would not be here most likely if Trump were the president. Remember the difference? We showed you on the chart the other night. Trump's last year, 420. Biden this year, 3.2 million. And a lot of the 420 were in proceedings to throw them out. We actually used to throw people out. We don't anymore. We don't throw anybody out. We take everyone. And when I say 3.2 million came in this year, of course, that doesn't account the gotaways or the people we never saw. There's something very tricky here. The Immigration Service counts the people that they interview, and they don't interview them anymore. The interviews from China have been reduced from a 40-page form to 4 questions. uh, how you can vet people from our biggest enemy in the world that has every reason to send spies here and to send people who can maximize the billions they're making on fentanyl is enormous. But we asked them 4 questions. So effectively, we do not vet them. And so the people that we vet, we don't vet. The people that are gotaways, we don't have a chance to even pretend we're vetting them because all we do is see them, but we can't catch them. And now you got another group, and that's the group we don't pretend to vet, we don't see, and we have no idea how many of them come in, all except with the interviews that are done with the border police in Mexico or our own, which say that here. I'm going to tell you the number that's given. The academic number from the useless, broken down Ivy League schools like Harvard and MIT is half. Half. In other words, with 3.2 million last year, we'd have to say 1.5 million came in, and we never saw them. Uh, so now, if we use the most conservative estimate, 5 million people came in last year who were illegal. If we add up Biden's numbers, it'd be the fourth. The state of illegal immigrants would be the third or fourth largest state in the country, and is at this point. Well, they did what I've told you they do, which is they committed crimes. This is not the immigrants of your grandfather's day or great grandfathers. They're not coming over here looking for a streets paved with gold and are willing to work their backsides off for it. They're actually looking to get welfare. And in fact, many of them were lured here because Adams stupidly promised them all health insurance if they came. Why we're promising health insurance to illegals is beyond me when we have trouble paying for our own health insurance. But and by the way, a lot of the liabilities of New York City to the people who work for New York City are not funded, which means that Adams making that stupid request if they all come to New York put in jeopardy the pensions and well, not so much the pensions, but the health insurance of former city workers. But what the heck? He wouldn't know. He's going around in a fog most of the time.
Should we play the video of the?
Well, let's show the beating, and then we're going to take you to a level of absurdity that is beyond comprehension. It is absurd enough that these police officers were beaten up by Venezuelans who have absolutely no right in the world to be here and probably are criminals from their own land because you don't do this unless you are. One of them has already been arrested before this twice in the United States. And I think the others, I don't know their records, but the one guy's been arrested for assault and he's been arrested for robbery in like a 4-month period. This took place right near Times Square, by the way.
By now.
Look at that. I mean, this is completely 100% attributable to the Democrat Party. This did not happen by accident. It didn't happen because it was bad weather. It didn't happen because there's been a big moral change in Americans. This happened because Joe Biden opened the borders and let anybody come in who wants to come in. Adams did everything he could to lure them to New York City without the slightest bit of practical concern for how he was going to pay for it, or what was he going to do about the 25,000 homeless that he already has. They triple New York homeless now. I mean, how stupid can you be when you have your own homeless and you say, "Oh, just come here, and we'll put you in school, and we'll pay your health insurance, and we'll help you get a college education," and not considering that no matter what, unless you're some kind of a really naive fool, sure, some good people come over. No one's going to condemn every person you see on that line coming over, but a lot of bad people come in too. And not only that, for an ex-cop, it's actually just incredibly ignorant not to realize that the criminal organizations that rely on getting things into the United States are going to have a field day when you take away the security. Suppose you took away the security for airplanes. You think maybe Hamas and Hezbollah, and this is what Arafat used to do, start put people on planes and take them down? You'd certainly be inviting them to do it, wouldn't you? Well, you're saying to the Chinese, who make a fortune off fentanyl, we're wide open. Send all your fentanyl here. And they do. We're saying to the Mexican cartels, manage the border and make money from everybody coming over. And you got to imagine, if they're managing the border, they're sending a lot of bad people in here. Well, after those people did that, I think at this point, 6 or 7 of the 8 are arrested. One of them, Johan Boada. You want to show the picture of how respectful he is to the city, state, and country that has given him refuge?
Yep.
Mr. Boada. He's showing
Yeah.
he's showing a great deal of appreciation.
You got his picture up now.
For the fact that other people are paying his bills because this lazy bum doesn't work. Oh, by the way, none of those lazy bums that you saw have even applied for work. I mean, Adams didn't say anything about work. Eventually he did, and he said he was going to get work permits for them. When they got the work permits, 2% showed up. Oh, and by the way, all of them say they're seeking asylum. 5% of the claims turn out to be true. 95% not true. These people beating up cops are not looking for asylum. Believe me. So, two people I know very, very well, 2 Republicans, office holders in the city, of which aren't that many, Vito Fisella, who is the borough president of Staten Island, and Nicole Maliotakis, who is our singular Republican representative from the city of New York, immediately said, throw them out. I mean, haven't they? I mean, first of all, they could be thrown out if the president wanted to. Now they're giving them another reason to get thrown out. I mean, just respect for my police department would have you do that, you bum, you miserable. And I can't call you the names I like to call you. But no, the governor's bold response. And here's what's really weird. The press is playing it like they think they heard her say that she wants to throw them out. Here's what she actually said. She said it's worthy of looking into. She didn't say she's going to throw them out. She said it's worthy of looking into. So she's playing both sides against the middle, right? Which tells you what a useless piece of crap she is, right? She's playing both sides against the middle. She sounds like, and these people, the press, interpret it like she wants to throw them out. It's worthy of looking into, but she didn't say she wants to throw them out. And she probably will never. She's going to be looking into it forever. So I put out a text today, a tweet, an X, and I said, I'd be more than happy to consult with you about this. I mean, after all, I do know a little something about reducing crime. Unlike your governors and mayors and stuff like that, I didn't have a crime wave in New York City. In fact, Adams has set a couple of records for crime. I set records for crime too. My records were going down, his were going up. And Hochul, you don't know. You don't know what you're doing. That's why you say things like, you can't even be definitive on whether they should be deported. You say, it's worthy of looking into. You've had it a whole day now. Have you looked into it? I haven't seen a statement from you. I don't know who's going to come first. Are you going to look into it and give us an answer, or is someday Biden going to retaliate for our troops that were murdered? I mean, I think he probably is looking for that empty field that Clinton used. This is terrible. We're a country which has the moral fiber now in our leadership of vipers. It's a country of people leading us who are vipers, and Biden is like fiddling away. Yeah, absolutely fiddling away. He was asked the other day, does he have all of the power that he needs to patrol the border? If you consider that he has exactly the same power that Trump had, and Trump had it down to 400,000, and he has it at 3.2 million. Obviously, with the same powers, Trump didn't need more legislation. He didn't need new powers. In fact, his record is much worse. We don't have to even use Trump. His record is much worse than his pal Obama. He doesn't need new powers. He's got to exercise the ones that he has and not overturn them, which is what he did with 40 executive orders. Or maybe somebody's got to tell him the powers that he has, because he is in an extraordinary state of confusion. Now, this answer should have led to at least one or two members of his cabinet raising the issue of his mental competence under the 25th Amendment. And I want you to hear this answer, and I'll explain to you why.
For the media.
You play it, so I hear it.
Coming up.
With executive authority, is there more you could do? Absent
Not all I can do. Give me the power. I've asked for the very day I got in office. Give me the border patrol. Give me the people. Give me the people, the judges. Give me the people who can stop this and make it work right.
He really said that. Play that thing about the border.
with executive authority, is there more you could do? Absent
Not all I can do. Give me the power. I've asked for the very day I got in office. Give me the border patrol. Give me the people. Give me the people, the judges.
I didn't make it up. You heard it, right? Give me the border patrol. Now, there's something seriously wrong here. First of all, it's seriously wrong that no one but me is questioning this. The President of the United States has just made an assertion that he's trying to get a bill through Congress, which, by the way, doesn't contain any more power for him. But he's making it appear as if the Republicans aren't giving him the power to do the job. And the bill has nothing to do with power. I mean, the president has so much power in the area of immigration, there's no more power you can give him. It's an executive branch function. He's the chief executive. This guy doesn't even know that we have a unitary executive. I mean, the depth of his ignorance is shocking. Of course, he can't be given the Border Patrol. He has the Border Patrol. He had it from the day he was sworn in. Now, what are the possibilities there? He doesn't know he has the Border Patrol. I mean, he must have been, I know he goes on vacation half the time, but he must be in contact with them occasionally. Or does somebody else do everything for him? Does he not know that he controls the border patrol? Suppose when I was mayor, like Adams, crime was going up rather than down. And I said, they said, do you have the power that you need? And I said, no, give me the power. Give me the power. Give me the police department. I don't think the press would have ignored that. I think the crooked, distorted, anti-Republican press would have done a headline saying Giuliani's out of his mind. He's an ignorant fool or he's a damn liar, because everybody knows that the mayor controls the police department. Everybody knows that the president controls the border patrol. Who else would control it? Who appoints the head of it? Me? So does anybody have a theory? Ted, do you have a theory? Can you, this is what just drove me crazy yesterday morning or this morning. I don't remember, both of them probably. I sit there and I say to myself, what are we watching? What is this?
They think they can lie, so he's trying to blame Congress in a very sloppy manner, right? He's saying in it. I mean, obviously you see through it, knowing the law and working in the executive branch, understanding the executive power and those sorts of concepts.
But I don't think it takes a great genius or a person with enormous knowledge to know that the president of the United States runs the border patrol.
Yeah, I think
that a president saying, "Give me the border patrol," is absurd.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was a sloppy effort to try and pin the blame somewhere else. But he's really his mental capacity.
So how does the press not react to that? It's an absurd statement.
Yeah.
What's your theory?
My theory is that the press and Biden are both working for the communists. That's what my theory is.
And they cover up for them.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that if we qualify it a bit, it's not all of the press. I think the people that assist him in moving our country, I mean, the fundamental remake of our country is just a nice way of saying to make us a Marxist dictatorship, and they are on the way to doing it. I mean, they've done it with our justice system. It's gone, but the level of stupidity, lack of knowledge, lack of engagement is astounding. It's like saying that the president doesn't know he's in charge of the army. Maybe he doesn't, which is why he can't make a decision about how to retaliate. Maybe he thought that Austin was in charge, and Austin went AWOL on him. So he didn't have to do anything for weeks. He could just stay on vacation. I mean, it was pathetic today. Austin comes back. He's been AWOL. And he comes out there and sort of theoretically apologizes when some poor corporal would probably be in the brig if he did that. And the poor corporal doesn't have to do the astoundingly important things that Austin does.
Yeah.
I didn't tell the president, but I didn't tell anybody not to tell the president. You know what that means? The press doesn't get to this. They don't talk to each other. During that entire period, Biden never called them.
But they don't.
But we're not at war, but we're kind of like at war, right? And we're at a stage where we could be at war if we make a wrong decision. And he doesn't talk to the Secretary of Defense, and nobody cares.
They probably all hate each other. It's one big dysfunctional mess.
Well, you should also know in this group of the things that the Democrat Party do to you so that you'll be unsafe and have a terrible country. Alvin Bragg, the same person who indicted Donald Trump for not only non-crimes, but crimes beyond the statute of limitations. And the statute of limitations was changed just to get Trump. I'm sorry. Seems to me there's something unconstitutional about that. Kind of like an ex post facto law or a bill of attainder. I mean, we outlawed those things at the time that we became a republic. But now it's okay for Democrats to do things like that. The things that this crazy woman alleges happened beyond the statute of limitations. The law in New York was changed to extend the statute of limitations so she could sue him. And the allegations are patently absurd. You have to be a fool or a political prostitute to believe it. That the most famous man in New York walked into the most crowded, classy department store and decided to go into a cramped up dressing room with a woman and do whatever he did with her. Not a rape, because he was acquitted of that, but sexual assault. And she doesn't remember when. But when I say when, she doesn't remember the day of the week. She doesn't remember the time of the year. She doesn't remember the year because she's afraid to remember one of those things, because there's a really good chance he'd be traveling that day, because she's obviously lying. And she has a history of the wackiest crap that you could imagine. But Bragg, who could have held every one of these people on bail, you can't even blame the Cuomo law for this. These were offenses which the judge has discretion to set bail. Bragg's office stood up and said, "We don't want bail on them." That's like saying to the cops, and I know the relationship between prosecutors and cops, and it's a delicate one if you want to keep a city safe. It's like saying to the cops, "Screw you. We don't really give a damn if you get beaten up. And we know you can't defend yourself anymore." I mean, I got to tell you, 50 years ago, I don't know, some cop would have pulled his gun out and half those guys would have been shot. You don't, I mean, if you get an advantage on a cop's going to take his gun out, he's going to shoot. They could have killed one of those cops, right? They were kicking them. You kick him in the head, he's dead. A cop is supposed to lie on the ground and get kicked by a bunch of illegal immigrants who come here, take our money, don't work. All because we put a damn criminal in the White House, and we've got, I don't know what we have in New York. And that's your fault. The people in New York, you keep voting Democrat, and you keep getting the same damn thing every time you vote Democrat. There's a reason why the person who holds the record for reducing the crime the most in the history of the city was a Republican. I know him. He was a really good mayor. Well, they're all back out on the street. The guy flipping the thing there, he's looking for somebody else he can commit a crime on. And they're extremely empowered. And Bragg, by the way, today let out a couple more people. He let out a rapist. We'll see who he rapes. I mean, the guy lets people out of jail every day who commit crimes and are predictably going to commit crimes. People that, when we had a civilized situation in the city, guided by the rule of law, I'm telling you, 7,000 to 8,000 of these people would be in jail. I think they've gotten 7 of the 8, and 1 is missing, and they all come to us by virtue of Venezuela. And right now, an airplane should be headed to Venezuela and dropping them off at whatever airport we'd like to land in. Or if they won't let us land, we give them parachutes. Yeah, well, we wouldn't kill them. We give them parachutes. I mean, are we crazy? Are we crazy? Here's the editorial in the Post begins, "Deport the cop beaters." One of them, Yorman Reveron, has 2 open cases. He's only been here like 6 months. He has 2 open cases. 2 different, what's he doing on the street? Bragg is putting him there so he'll victimize you. Because he's a communist working for Soros, and he wants to destroy the system. You want the answer? People say, well, why would he do it? Read Karl Marx. It gives you the answer.
That's their response.
We will be back very shortly, and we will discuss another equally idiotic statement by Stinkin' Blinken. Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. Welcome back, and don't forget, mypillows.com. This is a time in which all good men have to come to the aid of their party. I don't know whose statement that was, but they used to use it when they taught typing. And I would say that what that means is we got to help each other because these people are trying to starve us out. So it's a great product. You're not sacrificing anything. I imagine you need sheets and you need blankets, and you are, you're Republicans, a lot of you, and even the ones that aren't, I'm sure, are civilized people. You wouldn't be watching me. I think only civilized people would enjoy listening to me. Plus, they've got great slippers, and they've got great T-shirts, and go to their catalog, pick out a few things. Now, I told you this a little while ago, and we're running out of time. And grab a little red stuff for a Valentine's Day. Look, I'm not great at this, but red stuff, like pillowcases. Wouldn't that be nice for your wife? Like if at Valentine's Day, you give her a red pillowcase. That sounds pretty romantic, right? I think she'd probably rather a diamond, but we're like Republican Party has now become the party of every man, every woman. We're no longer like the diamonds and the this and that. It's the crooks who do that. All those people have become crooks, so we don't want them. So get the red stuff. You go to mypillows.com. Promo code Rudy. Just say Rudy. Okay. Now Blinken. This one is pretty close to as extraordinary as Biden not knowing that the Border Patrol reports to the president. But I think he does know that the embassies report to the Secretary of State, because Blinken might be stinking, but I don't think he's stupid. But he must be something else, because he now wants to have a full review of making Palestine a full member of the United Nations and revisit the 2-state solution, which the administration was against, except if it came about through direct negotiations with Israel. It's now considering changing their position because of October 7th. Well, let me tell you what's dreadfully wrong with that. One, Israel doesn't want a 2-state solution, nor does Palestine. How the hell are you going to do a 2-state solution when neither one of the two people you want to put together next to each other want to be next to each other? Israel doesn't trust a Palestinian state until they're de-radicalized, which would mean some period of time when that was controlled and people were taught to unlearn, if you can do it, that you should kill Jews, which they're taught at a very early age. That's number one reason. Number two reason that we never thought it made sense to do that is, irrespective of Israel, there's no point in the United States creating another Islamic extremist state. They've killed enough of us. What do we want to do? Increase the number that kill us? And the final one is, we've been against this for decades. We're going to change our mind because of October 7th. In other words, I want to be part of the UN. I can't get in. So I decide I'll go kill 1,200 civilians, rape the women, kill the children, delay killing the parents so they can watch their kids being killed, or delay it in an opposite way. And then Stinking Blinken will come along and he will support my being a part of the UN. Now, it actually might make some sense, because that does typify what the UN is like. I am not exaggerating. I know the UN a lot better than you think. I used to have to police it. The damn thing is a crime zone. We spent as much time there on the crimes they commit as some of the high crime areas of the city. And they commit some crimes that make your stomach turn over. They have their fair share of perverts, as well as just straight out now crooks, bribe takers, don't pay your bill at the restaurant, stiff the landlord. Remember where they come from. They come from crooked countries. And now they come to a crooked country. They must feel really comfortable with Biden. So Stinking Blinken wants them to be a full member of the United Nations, and he wants to see if we can do a two-state solution, even though they oppose it, so that we can have another state that's a terrorist state that we can fund. Now, it probably won't cost us any money, because we're already funding Palestine to the tune of hundreds of millions. We do it both directly. We do it through non-government organizations that aren't worth a dime except, stealing. And we do it through UNRWA, United Nations Relief Organization, which is 90% Palestinian. 90% Palestinian, 10 to 20% are actual member, active, practicing terrorists with Hamas, 12 of whom have been identified participating in the barbarity of October the 7th. And it is estimated that half of the country is involved with, is related to or involved with the Palestinians. Now, just to also point out to you why I went crazy when that opportunist Nikki Haley said in a debate with DeSantis, who rightfully ripped her head off. We should allow, come on now, Palestinians should be allowed to come here as refugees. They're not all bad. At least half of them are on our side. Now, this was the head of the UN. That's not true. That's demonstrably untrue. There are polls that are taken by left-wing organizations that say that 70 to 80% of the people of Palestine supported what Hamas did in slaughtering the Jewish people. And it would stand to reason they would, because from the time they're little children, they're taught that. It's in their textbooks. Do you know who supplies their textbooks? And you know who pays for them? You do, and I do. And they're supplied by the UN organization that had the 12 members that participated in the terrorist attack. And I'm going to show you a picture. In case you think I'm exaggerating this, these are three, I don't know, you tell me how old those little boys are. You notice they have a machine gun pointing at a kid where they have the Jewish star on it? Those kids are being taught per UN textbooks paid for by you that Jews are animals. They're Satan. The only way the world's going to be, only way the Middle East will be peaceful is when the Jews are driven out. The only time the world is going to be peaceful is when Hitler, the only thing wrong with Hitler, they were taught, is he didn't achieve his goal. And we give them money, a lot of money. In fact, we're supporting both sides of the war, except we're giving more money to the wrong side. We give a lot more money to the Palestinians than we do to Israel. And not just through this organization, which all that humanitarian crap, it goes through them. They're controlled by Hamas, the UN organization is. Well, when we had a real president, which wasn't too long ago, he took us out of the UN relief agency because of the reasons I just pointed out. Why are we spending money on people who want to kill us? He's not Biden. He's not Obama. He's a sensible man. He's not a communist. He's not a traitor. The first thing this bum does when he comes back is he reinstates the money for the terrorist financing organization, and they just get a big free flow of money. And this is part of in the bill where he's looking for another 60 billion or 50. He's looking for money for them. It's them. For the ones who can they see it?
Yep.
Can they see the children?
Yep.
So I don't know. One of these days, Biden is going to decide, and we spent some time on the options. Biden is going to decide what we do about the murder of those three wonderful soldiers who came from Georgia and were killed by what it turns out is a drone. The idea is that this is being done by Iran. You want a little more proof? The drone is Iranian. And by the way, we've known that from the beginning. But as part of the Austin Biden cover-up of everything that would be harmful to their ability to move us toward communism, it's been covered up. And it finally came out today that but we know this. We know that Iran supplies them with the guns to kill us. I mean, it's very, very, very good chance that those three young people were killed by an Iranian drone. From the examination of the drone, that at least is the preliminary conclusion. And one of the things that every expert says, that Biden will not retaliate against Iran, but they can kill us whenever they want. And until he does retaliate, they're going to continue to kill us whenever they want. Is that not treason? Is that treason? I don't know.
Sure sounds like it.
So that would end up establishing a country. That would end up establishing a country in which, like Iran, they support terrorism. And we're going to use our money so that we can extend the hegemony of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which is run by a homicidal madman who wants to kill Americans and has driven it into the minds of these young children as well. So one of these days, Biden is going to decide what we do to retaliate. And it may not be soon. Maybe he's waiting until he gets out of the White House so Trump can do it. You elected him. You're going to do it again? You let him cheat again? Well, we'll be back right after these messages and we will go over the 5 stories that they're going to minimize, hide, burn, or shoot the people who know them so that it can't tell you.
Device is something that you can plug into your television, and now you can use your television as a social television type experience. So in the Portal universe, you can watch your favorite content creators' videos, live streams, music. We also have TV subscriptions as well.
TV
so
subscriptions.
You can also
regular channels, all the sports.
Right, you can actually cut your cable from your cable subscription and get QUX TV on our QX TV boxes, and you can pay half the price that you're currently paying for your cable television subscription, and you can get all the best premium TV channels and more. I mean, it's really, there's so much on there, Rudy. I mean, you've seen it.
No, I've seen it and I use it, and it's good. I mean, it's great. It's just exactly the same except for half the price. Plus, nobody is finding out what I'm watching, and that's not being reported to anybody.
Right, so you have absolute privacy using this device, which you don't have on other devices out there currently on the market.
This is absolutely great. QUX.TV is how you can find out about it. QUX.TV.
Use promo code RUDY to receive $30 off.
Welcome back to America's Mayor Live. Let me quickly go through the stories that either will not be covered in a fair and equitable way and a fair and open way, or be covered up completely. Biden is going to go to East Palestine a year late, at a time in which he can do no good going there of any kind, including giving morale to these people. He's already destroyed their morale. And they don't really care because they can't stand him. Remember, I was there, and the mayor spent an extra hour talking to me so that Pete Buttigieg could stand outside in the middle of 4 or 5 people that he seemed enormously uncomfortable talking to because they were just ordinary people. Oh gosh, they might have been Republicans. And he looked like, he didn't want to soil himself with such people. And several times we reminded the mayor that he's keeping the secretary waiting. And I don't want to tell you what he said, but it didn't seem to move him very much. I think he thought the guy had so much vacation time he wouldn't mind. So Biden, couldn't find time in the last year to go there. He's actually been on vacation more than any president in history. But I guess we didn't count vacations during George Washington's period. But I can't believe that George Washington was a lazy bum. This guy's a lazy bum. I mean, how often do you see him on the beach? But looking like, actually, there are periods of time where his brain turns off completely. It must have when he didn't know that the Border Patrol reports to him. So he's going to East Palestine. Will he be able to make the decision about retaliating before or after that? Let's see. Because if he waits a year to retaliate against Iran, they've done 165 bombings. They can do another. You might as well wait until they get all their bombings done and just kill a whole bunch of us. Then he can hit a field and say he did something. Would you like to look at a very, very pointed cartoon that I think has the answer to what his response is going to be? Please. That's the cartoon there. Basically, I had not thought of this. Remember when I outlined all the choices on America's Mayor Confidential? I thought I had gotten them all, the good ones and the bad ones. I didn't realize he might just tell the Ayatollah, don't. And that's worked really well. They actually, if he hadn't said don't, they would have done 180 attacks. So they took it down to 165 as a result of don't. Also, his strategy is called is basically escalation avoidance. Now, this has got to be the worst strategy in the history of foreign policy because he didn't avoid 165 strikes. You think after 50, somebody might have said, hey, I wonder if they call him Dodo. Hey, Dodo, we're doing escalation avoidance. We've had 50 attacks. You think maybe we should change our strategy? Now, I don't know. He could have his head in the ice cream at the time, or he could have fallen going up the stairs, or who knows what. Or he could have been smelling some little girl's hair. One never knows what he's doing. But in any event, the guy is fiddling while Iran is dominating, and it is tragedy for our country, a tragedy. So the Russians attacked Kharkiv again. Now, why do I mention Kharkiv? I don't have my map here, but I mentioned Kharkiv because it's very close to my heart. I work there. I know the people in Kharkiv. I know some personally. I knew the mayor really well. He actually died before the most recent attack as a result of injuries he sustained in the first Putin attack. And I myself and John Huvane and people from my company did a lot of work on their security plans, including the outline for their emergency management center. And they're extraordinary people. They're extraordinary people. They fought the Russians off in 14 with nothing. And I have to say, in the interim period, they got themselves really ready. And Putin made a big mistake. He went back after them again. And if you take a look at the map, Kharkiv has driven the Russians not only out of Kharkiv, they've driven them further back. They've put in a nice big buffer zone for themselves. But they keep trying. They keep coming back. And so what do? They deliberately hit a hospital. So you want to talk about hitting hospitals on purpose? Go talk to Mr. Putin. Fanny, quite contrary, and the very special prosecutor have now been noticed for testimony by Mark Meadows' lawyer, so that he can ask them directly the questions that are on everyone's mind from all the documents that we see. And I do have to remind you that Fanny, quite contrary, and the very special prosecutor have not denied a single word of the very serious allegations against them, which amounts, forget, the sex part has to do with the divorce case. The allegation that they were stealing money that was given to them in order to frame me. So I'm kind of annoyed that, they earned the money to go run off with each other to love nests by engaging in a 2-year fraud intended to put me in jail for the rest of my life for a crime that I didn't commit. You think maybe I should be upset about that? You think maybe I think the case should be thrown out and all the papers should be burned because it stinks up our criminal justice system? And by the way, that is true of myself, of Donald Trump, of Mr. Roman, of Mr. Meadows, and the people I don't know. Half the people there I do not know. One of them that cooperated said she never talked to me. How could I have conspired with her? What? Signs? I'm not good at that. Only baseball. I know baseball signs. I've forgotten them now, but I used to know them. I was good on baseball signs because I was a catcher. So Fanny, we're going to see if Fanny shows up or she takes the fifth. And did Fanny take that money that came from the federal government, which of course is doing nothing about it because Fanny is in the circle of the gold circle where you can commit any crime you want and you can get millions, right? Everybody that runs for prosecutor goes to Washington and raises $500,000, right? No, only the ones that framed Donald Trump and his friends. By the way, that should be charged as a payoff. God forbid they should charge her. It was actually quite a relief, sort of a sense of justice that Zuckerberg had to get up and apologize to the parents whose children he killed and made a fortune doing it. And why do I say that? Because he was warned many, many times along the way, and it's in emails. And the guy's worth money that you and I can't calculate. And every time he was asked to put up more money to save the children, he didn't do shit, didn't do anything. Probably that rich because he's cheap as a, except if you want to do Zucker boxes and steal an election, for which he got away with $400 million in a campaign contribution. And they tried to frame Trump over Russian collusion. I mean, it is outrageous. Anti-Semitism is all over. I got to give you one incident after another, but the one in New York that really got to me was the rally that was done by Jewish groups against the New York Board of Education for practicing really systemic racism. And it was done at the Boss Tweed Courthouse. And I just mentioned that because with all the names that we're changing, we keep the name of the guy who probably invented political corruption in America, Boss Tweed. He was as crooked as Joe Biden, and we named a courthouse after him. And we're taking down Jefferson and Monroe and this guy and that guy, and we're keeping a massive crook with a courthouse, and that's where they had the rally.
And that's our top 5 stories for the day. And wow, I know the mayor every day. Where does he get all this energy? Well, our next sponsor is going to tell us.
Is an amazing chemical laboratory. When you give it the right chemistry, it functions the best. Balance of Nature is the ultimate whole fruit and vegetable chemistry.
Get 35% off your first order by using discount code RUDY.
That's right, Balance of Nature. Be sure to use that promo code RUDY and get your Balance of Nature today. That's balanceofnature.com. Promo code RUDY. You're doing yourself a favor and
Gulpy.
supporting
Now,
America's Mayor Live.
okay, just a few little notes here. There's a debate going on in the Congress, in the House, and the Republicans are getting pilloried over it, and they're absolutely right. They want to pass this immigration. They want to get their crooked money out for Ukraine, and I am in favor of the Ukrainians winning, and I am in favor of the Ukrainians being free. And if I had to pick a side to fight in that war, I'd be fighting against the Russians. However, I am convinced with every bone that I have in my body that the Ukrainians are stealing some of that money. And I'm convinced of it because Biden, who knows more about Ukrainian corruption than anybody, has refused to put a monitor for that money. And it is absolutely completely unjustifiable that our crooked Congress gives him that money without requiring that there are strings attached to it, like finding out if the Ukrainians are using it for the arms that they're supposed to get for the good of the people. Now, if you claim to care about the Ukrainian people, you'll care about what I'm saying, unless you're a big crooked phony, which they are. Now, the same thing is going on in the immigration bill, in which the Wall Street Journal says, well, the Republicans can't get everything they want. They should be more reasonable. They just want a few people to come in. I don't know if the Wall Street Journal knows how to do multiplication, but the number that they're using is 5,000 people a day. That's 1-point-something million people a year. If you look at the chart that I had the other night, you will find out there are only about 2 or 3 years in the last 30 when that many people came into the United States, except for the Biden years, and he has all the records. There's no American president that comes anywhere near the number of illegals that he lets in. I mean, he passed that number the first year. He set the record the first year. Then he broke his own record and he broke it again. Now, it shouldn't surprise you that the guy who's let in the least since we've been keeping records is Donald Trump. And from Donald Trump's last year to now is a straight line right up the graph and right up your you know what. Those are the people that beat up the cops. And the more you let in, you can just take it as given, the worse they get. Because the more that come in, the more the cartels push the envelope to make deals with the worst people for big money. Like, for example, if the Chinese want to get 3 or 4 really, really high quality intelligence people in here, they don't want to take a chance. They're going to get, even if we are asking 4 questions, maybe we'd actually have some guy there they'd allow to do his job. They want him to come in unmolested, unobserved. And the more people that are coming in and using up our resources, doesn't this make sense to you? Every Border Patrol person will tell you this, but the Democrats won't agree with this because nothing makes sense to them except moving us toward being a communist country. The reason for this is not just that they want an electorate and they know they're losing their electorate, but they want a enslaved electorate that votes for them at 80 and 90%. It's the only way a party without a
Comment below.
policy
Let us know
does
where
anything
you're tuning
for
in from.
anybody, and a party that is
Comment
as
below.
crooked as they are can get elected. And then when it really gets tough, they just plain cover up hard drives or just change the vote. Why the hell do you think they want mail-in ballots? Nobody who's interested in a very, very tightly controlled election where we're sure that everyone has a right to vote wants mail-in ballots. Mail-in ballots are the refuge of the cheaters. Now, you can go look at Democrats saying that before. Now, this is like when they were all for the wall, like Schumer was for the wall and Pelosi was for the wall, and then Trump is for the wall, and then becomes a bad wall. They weren't xenophobes when they were for the wall, but he's a xenophobe when he's for the wall. These are really bad people. And the worst one of all is the guy who doesn't know he's controlling the Border Patrol. Now, here's a little bit of good news that we'll close with. So they had one poll today that has Biden ahead by 8 points. It is the only poll in the last 3 months that has him ahead by anything beyond 1 or 2 points. And the vast majority of polls, I'd say 9 out of 10, has Trump ahead by 3 to 10 points nationally. But nationally doesn't count. Here, first of all, the local polls are considerably more accurate. They're easier to sample. And second, this is the way we vote. These are all states. These are all states that he lost to Biden, although he was winning most of these states before they cut off the vote, very strangely. Arizona, 47-41. Georgia, 49-41. Michigan, 47-42. That right there, just that. Trump's the president. Nevada, 48-40. Pennsylvania, 48-44. And Wisconsin, 49-41. So that's how you win an election. That, assuming the other states that he won, he holds, and those are not really, these are the ones that are in doubt. Then he has 312 electoral votes, and he wipes the hell out of the worst president in American history. Please, God, from my kiss to your ears. So we'll be back tomorrow, and we'll see if Biden makes a decision by tomorrow on how we protect our troops, because they are right now unprotected by no retaliation of any kind. And we're basically, every time we delay, all we do is convince every time we do, we convince people that we're weaklings and cowards. And I should also, I'm not going to go through we'll play it tomorrow night because it's getting sickening. But today, when he was talking to the parents of one of our brave young soldiers who died, he lied to them about his son, Bo, and pretended that his son died in the line of duty.
You have the video if you want to play it real quick.
I have to tell you, it's horrible that his son died. It's just as horrible that he tells people in the midst of the worst grief in their life a lie like that. And I can only tell you because I haven't gone through this, and it's like a nightmare. You know that. You're your parent. It's a nightmare, right? I was actually surprised when I listened the other night to the parents of the kids that he had killed in Afghanistan, how angry they are about that. That he lied about his son. Somehow I'd have been angrier about his looking at the watch, or the incredible decision that he made that assured that Americans would be killed by taking the troops out before the civilians. And I have checked this number every chance I get. I can't believe this is true. And he left $85 billion worth of lethal arms for 4 of the most vicious terrorist groups in the world, which are now being used. And along with our money may have purchased the Iranian drone that was used. It could be our weapons that are being used because the Taliban sold them to make money. They don't need that much. They are the best armed terrorist group in the world now, thanks to Joseph Robinette Biden. Serial number, let's hope. Not really. I don't know what the right thing to do with him is. I do know there is one critical thing that has to be done. He's got to get out of the White House. And why they don't use the 25th Amendment to toss him out because he can't remember the Border Patrol reports to him at a time in which we have 3 million people coming in for the first time in our history illegally. I mean, isn't that enough to say he's insane? Suppose the president said he didn't know the Army reported to him. Wouldn't we take him out of office as being mentally incompetent?
You would think so.
The past, the Army reports to me. The Republicans won't give me the power to do it. Last night, I gave you a list of 6 statutes that give him more power than you can possibly imagine. The president has virtually, except by the constraints of the rights under the Constitution, has virtually full power to do whatever the hell he wants at the border. It's an exercise of foreign policy, which is classically in the domain of the executive branch. I do not expect that Dodo Bird knows any of this, but there got to be people around who tell him this. Now, I knew one of his law school classmates who described him as one of the dopiest people you'd ever meet. He was 100% right. But why we have to be stuck with him is because we have a crooked country. And we got to fix it. That's what this election is about. Well, we're going to fix it, not only defeat him, but get that damn political party out of power every place we can. Let him change it. I don't owe him, by the way. Would you please support my movement to change the name of the Democrat Party? Because I think keeping the name of an institution that did more for slavery than any other institution in the United States is an insult to everyone. Because slavery was an insult to everyone. Of course, it was horrible for the black people, but it was an insult to all humanity. And that party is singularly responsible for it in terms of political parties. And my party lost hundreds of thousands of people fighting to free black people.
And now they're trying to do it again. They don't care what color your skin is.
Oh, enslave you?
That's right.
That's why they want you on welfare.
Yes.
Absolutely. Welfare has become the new form of, euphemistic slavery.
Right.
Well, we'll be back tomorrow. Remember, WABCRadio.com at 3, 8 o'clock here on X or one of the others that you go to. And please, we're putting lots of stuff on there now, and I'm going to get a little confused of what I share with you here and what I share with you on Confidential. So go on Confidential and we can have intimate conversations. God bless the people of Israel. God bless the people of the United States. Please, God, look after those soldiers who returned to you so recently and whose life was cut off so early. And please somehow find a way to give their families peace of some kind, because you're such a generous God. And thank you for the United States of America. God bless America.
Is to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze,